Hi listeners, welcome to my channel. Mercury moved into Gemini on 3rd of May. Due to Mercury retrograde which will happen towards end of May, this journey of Mercury through its finest sign Gemini would be a 9-week long process ending on 11th of July. Mercury is the symbol of our mind, our thought process, and it was going through a slow and steady process of reality checks before that when it was in Taurus. But now, in its own sign, Mercury feels a lot more strong and more frisky, performing brilliantly, opening new doors of thought forms. And one of those thought forms opened the door this week of our mind. We will dig deeper into that today. I discuss by sign in your monthly videos how Mercury in Gemini and how the Mercury retrograde would impact you. Do refer to that in your respective sign specific videos or podcasts. I'll leave the link in the description for you along with the key dates of the transit. My name is Charu and I am your host on this journey. So let's dig in. Mercury's transit in Gemini makes us very curious about life and its possibility. It opens us up to new ideas and experiences. Our minds are quick, communication is much more lively. We could use this 9-week process of Mercury in Gemini up till 11th of July to learn, to pick up a new skill, to enjoy the movement that comes with Mercury in Gemini. Walking, pacing, running, any kind of move really. Discover the local community on foot to open our minds to new possibilities, naming things, acquiring a new language skill, making connections, quenching your curiosity of life. This is left brain activation. It's opposite of Mercury in Sagittarius, so its urge is for us to focus on snippets, on small moments, on immediate information, small set of information, immediate environment versus trying to find a bigger picture or a long-term plans. Think in realistic and bite-sized information forms. It's the theme of 2021. With North Node in Gemini, the focus is on making things, situations, and life as simple as possible and taking it in bite-sized. Don't belong to a cult or a old thought process group. Belong to an intelligent thought form based on the information you currently have on hand. Future unfolding might be out of our hand, but the current moment is something we right now have the ownership of. And that's what North Node in Gemini along with Mercury in Gemini is trying to indicate. The future unfolding is not in our hand, but the current moment is something we right now have the ownership of. It's bringing the attention to the current moment. As Mercury in Gemini now comes with North Node and South Node on the opposite side, it's a period when we would be required to relinquish one or more of our rigid belief about our own life and its circumstances. There could be actual speech form, actual things that we say that we'll have to release. We might need to release some fixed idea or interest and change course, as this is a mutable sign. When our mind is in a sign which is mutable, we change both our mind about things as well as what we say about our life. We are moving towards the Mercury retrograde period. Mercury will go into shadow period from 14th of May and then go retrograde starting on 28th or 29th of May and stay retrograde till 22nd of June. Mercury retrograde is the period when we change our mind about things because a different perspective is shown to us about the events of our life, about the events of the past few weeks. And with that, our perspective changes and how we proceed forward change. Today, Chiron is reaching out to this inquisitive mind. And it's saying that your healing is in moving forward and not looking back. If our old wounds or our upbringing has kept our sense of exploration in a cage, you would experience you banging against that cage, like you're fighting against your own old impulses and upbringing. These thought forms are very, very real. These thought forms have created the structure of our life. The fear and the hurt that stopped our sense of adventure or exploration, they come to focus for us to talk through those fears, through those hurt, and walk away from it. We have to grow out of that thought form. Our throat chakra is in focus here. What blocks our throat chakra? What does not allow us to express ourselves freely? When we need to voice our choices, what blocks us? It's normally fear, but it's ingrained through a past experience. What does not let our heart sing out loud? This is mind over matter. Mercury is very, very strong in Gemini, which means that our thought form, our ability to think through things is very, very strong. It's mind over matter. Our mind is very, very strong when Mercury is in Gemini, which means that we can work to overcome the old thought process and substitute it with a new thought process and a new mindset. And it's not going to be a short process. We have time till 11th of July when this thought form and new experience would take form through a process of going back and forth. This is also written matter, documentation, skill set, the way we think about our life, the way we think about our skill set, what kind of skill set we have, how we express our skill set, how we write, how we read, how we vocalize our needs. That will go through a process of revision over the period of Mercury in Gemini till 11th of July. This week especially, there could be a fated encounter or a new snippet of information or a social media post, something mundane, something very normal, something very day-to-day, a meeting, a connection, which would suddenly wake us up to the cage or the fact that you're meant to move forward from here. And for some of you, this might have already happened. This is the week of epiphanies, the aha moments, as they're called, to unstuck us from an old thought form, from an old thought process of life. It's also a playing ground for us to move out of early conditioning of our mind and to show to ourselves that we can move out of an old thought form into a new way of speaking about our own life. Can we move out of an old belief that it is better to hide or deny what we truly think and feel? Can we move out of an old belief that it is better to talk negatively about our own life than positively? Thoughts and beliefs that have been suppressed and disallowed, they come into focus. Typical thought processes and feelings that come out, or the way of processing information that comes out, is the negativity of the mind. In early upbringing, many of us have been told to not talk up our own skill set, not talk up our own self, not talk up our own life. And there is some sort of psychological congestion which comes to focus by suppressing the goodness of our own life through our own words. the movement of this thought process, the churning of our own thought process, the churning of our own mind and thought is encouraged and cultivated. And you do that through connection, through reading, through journaling, through pacing, through moving, unclogging the movement of air and thought process through our body and our mind is very much encouraged. And through that, we are positively conditioning our mind and deconditioning all old thought process. And it may not feel easy at the start because sometimes the mind resists the change, but it's much, much easier right now, and it is the only way forward. Rise above the old thought form. That is the message of Mercury and North Node coming together this week at the degree of newly opened lands. There is power and joy in thinking, visualizing, writing, drawing, discussing, not our limitations, but our new beginnings, giving form to them in some ways on a paper, on a drawing, on a visualization. This is a visual Mercury. The mind likes to see and talk and speak its vision. And it might be a bit ahead, but it's almost like your mind can visualize and touch it and feel it, how it's supposed to be. And in that, slowly, it releases some burden of old thought process and make it easier to breathe in. Easier to breathe in that vision. That vision almost starts living in our mind as a living entity. And we have to breathe in that vision. We have to live that vision in our mind. It's the unexperienced, the undiscovered, the unexplored field of potential. The potential we have been waiting to open up to. Where the skilled parts of our brain and body is allowed full freedom by our own self to play out. Where we don't block the skilled parts of our body and brain to fully express itself. And North Node experiences are very, very unique to each person. Every person's epiphany is very, very different, and everybody's fated vision or word or thought would be very different. How it will come to you is very, very unique. The finger drops on the right line in the book, sitting on your shelf for years. A stranger says a thing. We read a hurtful article in newspaper or social media, and that evokes something within us. We see someone in our neighborhood, and the discussion with them opens our mind. You meet a friend or an old friend, and he gives a different perspective. You watch a show or comedy, and it opens you up. You spend time with a child or a younger person, and they say something very natural, something very simple, and it becomes meaningful to you. You shift your immediate surroundings, move to another area, walk to another area where you have not been for some time, and that clicks and calls you. You see a media form, a photograph, a camera clip, and that gives you an epiphany. The form in which you will receive it is going to be very unique to you. And so is the road to that epiphany. We also have 17th of May, when Mercury will reach its longest elongation. It will be farthest away from Sun. That's when we gain a perspective due to distance. We would gain a unique perspective on the past events that have happened in our life, since February especially, which will help us move forward on this epiphany. It's a virgin field of consciousness, which just shifts your perspective. and opens a gate of our mind previously closed to this possibility. This is something we, in the past, due to our old belief system, we were close to. It reconnects you to your mind with a clarity not experienced before. There's harmony of our own body in this, an openness to life, an innocence of heart, who springs anew, ready for a new ideal, despite the old hurt. We are now facing the unfamiliar. Nothing is sure shot, but we want to try this new thought form. We want to follow through on this new train of thought and idea. Every step we move forward from there on requires us to rise up to the occasion. Rise up to the occasion in the sense that we do not slip back in the old mindset and the old thought process of limitation. We will fall and rise up again because we are just learning to think in this new way. And this whole Mercury cycle till 11th of July will be required to formulate this new thought form, which will not just be a thought form anymore, because we are going to make it into something concrete. We are going to make it into a written form, a recording, a visual form, a skill set. We will put this thought into form during this period. Not just that, we will see it play out in the physical world. We'll try it out. We'll do a proof of concept, so as to speak. It's coming with Saturn in a positive aspect this week. This is a great week to solidify our mind in some ways. In some ways to get even some sort of assurance that you are thinking in the right direction. You may never get that full assurance because, as I said, it's the unexplored territory, but a hint that you're going in the right direction. It could be through a discussion with somebody who's experienced in your field. It could be a discussion with an elder person. It could be an authority figure who gives you a green light. Or it could be success at a small scale, which gives you an assurance to move forward. Something tells us that we are going in the right direction. We get an assurance this week, which gives us the capability to further move forward on it. Do not back down. Do not disappoint your own mind by slipping back into the old mindset. We do not need to prove anyone else externally, but we do need to prove ourselves that we can move forward differently, that we can think differently, that we can recreate our skill set in a completely different direction, that we can create commercial reality, physical reality out of a thought process that is new, that is untraditional, that we can move forward differently just by using our mind, resulting in a different outcome. Do share with me your personal epiphany this week. I would look forward to that. Good luck for this, and I'll see you in the next video now. Thank you.